Hello. Oh, there it is. Alright. Welcome to my channel. This first video is about consciousness, and we're going to be reviewing a paper called Consciousness, a Molecular Perspective, and it's by Robert Printner, Department of Humanities, Social and Political Sciences, ETH Zurich, University of Zurich. It was published in December 2017, and the abstract is: this perspective examines the role of chemistry and molecular biology for a science of consciousness. That's the first sentence. I'll try and put a link to this paper in the description so you can read it yourself. But what I'm going to do is kind of distill this paper section by section. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sections to this paper, and I was taking some notes on this first section, just getting some terminology and a concept about this paper. So the first section is a molecular basis for consciousness? Question mark. So when trying to answer the question how to fit consciousness into naturalist image of the world, there are different explanatory strategies one could pursue. Alright, so what is naturalist? So a naturalist is based on naturalism. So naturalism is the philosophical belief that everything arises from natural properties and causes, and supernatural or spiritual explanations are excluded. So I'm going to write, of course my cursor isn't working. There it is. I guess I gotta do that. I'm getting my pen pad soon. Naturalist. There. Naturalist. Naturalist. I'm sure this will be better with a pen pad, but I'm too excited to not do this. Alright, so trying to get this done in 15 minutes. Each section 15 minutes. So without further ado, let's continue. So that's what a naturalist is. So one key part of this section that jumped out at me is this idea that chemistry plays the role of materially grounding the corresponding theories of consciousness. So the corresponding theories of consciousness are neurobiological, functional, or information processing. So what I want to show is 3 circles. I could probably draw that a little bit bigger. It's looking beautiful. Beautiful. Alright, so here we have NB for neurobiology. We have here IP for information processing. Holy crap. Holy crap. And we have here FC. Holy baloney. For functional, which I think revolves around functionalism. And then in the center we have CH, which represents chemistry. So when I read chemistry plays the role of materially grounding and corresponding theories of consciousness, this is what right here, it grounds into it. It is the thing that, let's see, what do they say? All right, so consciousness has a chemical basis. That's the idea. And in the paper it says, but the right level to look for a mechanism that gives rise or correlates to the contents of consciousness is not the molecular level itself, but the level of assemblies of neurons in the brain. Or see that this assemblies of neurons in the brain is given as an example, e.g., which I didn't read properly. So the main idea is that consciousness in this paper, it's asserting that it has a chemical basis. And when you think about it, does consciousness have a chemical basis? Like everything is based on particle interactions, and molecules are just like smorgasbords of particle interactions. So we can get into details of molecules and stuff later in other videos, but the main idea is that consciousness in this paper, in the context of this paper, has a chemical basis. Alright, so when trying to explain the way in which another terminology is, I'm just going to abbreviate it, phenomenology. If I had my pen pad, I would write it all out. But anyways, phenomenology is an approach that concentrates on the study of consciousness and the objects of direct experience. So one thing I'm doing is, this is essentially the introduction to the paper. And so I'm listing out all the definitions that strike me as important to understand. So we've gone through naturalists, we've gone through this concept of chemical basis of consciousness, and now we're going through phenomenology, which is basically the study of consciousness. And then we have this other, I'm just going to abbreviate it as super. If I can write this lovely word, super. So supervenience is coming or occurring as something novel, additional, or unexpected. So in the context of this paper, as it reads, it says, first we shall consider possible mechanisms at the molecular level, which we put into the context of reduction and supervenience. So, consider possible mechanisms at the molecular level, which we put into. So, they're reducing consciousness down to the molecular level, and they're talking about they're saying that consciousness is this supervenience property that comes from the molecules themselves. At least that's what I understand. And then our next word, and I'm just going to abbreviate it as pan, is panpsychism. Panpsychism is the idea that all forms of matter are intrinsically sentient. And so, what this paper says, so the first thing that they're going to go over is the reduction and supervenience of molecular level of consciousness. Second, the role of substrate independence for information processing theories of consciousness shall be assessed and are related to molecular organization. And third, we shall consider panpsychism, the idea that all forms of matter are intrinsically sentient, which is an interesting idea if you believe that we are all one entity, which science typically says that we're all made of energy. Is energy conscious? Does it have to be in order for it to do what it does? That's I have some views on that, and we'll get into that nitty-gritty stuff in a later video. We shall argue that one of panpsychism's inherent challenges, the combination problem, is closely related to chemistry in every case. We find that acknowledging the role of chemistry in molecular biology might imply subtle but important insights when trying to explain changes in phenomenology. The combination problem. Yeah, we'll get to that when we get to it. Yeah. So overall, this is an interesting paper. I recommend it if you want to do some research into consciousness at the chemical level. That's pretty much it for this video. I can't think of anything else. Let me look at this. The role of chemistry, accordingly, lies in supporting the relevant neurobiological and computational substrate. So that goes back to consciousness has a chemical basis. So that's the main point of the introduction, that consciousness is based on, like what I had, the three circles. Three circles where consciousness is right, where chemical interactions is right in the middle. I do apologize for this rather janky video, but I wanted to make it. And I hope you subscribe, and because I'll be going over this paper, other papers, biochemistry, Latin, and whatever else I'm interested in. I will be researching and teaching. And I hope you have a good day, and see you next time.